are starting, please stop. All right, so the plan for today, we are going to go to current unit and do lesson 8 from the current unit. And what is that going to look like? All right, so we get to put our conditional practicing to the tests, or to good use, into a single multifaceted app. And if you were to go to our current unit, which is at my dashboard, should be in unit 4. And let me double check that we are in the correct location. Okay, so we're going to go straight to lesson 8, bubble 1. And it looks like that. So our goal is to recreate this app in bubble 2. Okay, so let's take a look at the example and see what's going on. So this app is a museum ticket generator. It will compare a couple user inputs and output some text. So let's run it, and nothing happens right away. We'll click on the button, and you can see it gives us some output. It has a day, an age, and a price. All right, and it's definitely designed to be used multiple times without hitting reset. Okay, and if we mess around with different inputs, we get different prices. So the only of the three lines of text on the ticket itself, 2 are just inputs that are just going to be copied exactly. And the key to this are conditional, which is the crux of the matter, is what price it equates to. So if we choose Wednesday and a high age, it's 10. Wednesday and a low age is 5. Good. How about Saturday? Still goes to 10. Okay, regardless of the age. Okay, so we can pretty easily break down the rules for the different prices. The question is, how are we going to code it? Okay, they give you a few examples to test. Here we have test the weekend day, and Sunday 14 is 10. How about a super low number? Is 6, still 10. How about a high number? Still 10. Okay, so it looks like weekend, no matter what, is going to be $10. For a weekday, let's switch it to a weekday. And a high age is still $10. Low age, $5. Super low, still 5. Then they say, try this code as a discount code. And on Thursday, nothing changes. What about on Friday? It's free. All right, so those are basically our rules. Any weekend, full price, no matter. Friday and free Friday code is free, no matter of age. And weekday, our most specific rule is weekday, and let's see, the cutoff 13, let's try 17 is still cheap. 18 is still cheap. What about 19? Expensive. Okay, so the cutoff is 18 or younger. So we've got a less than or equal to 18 situation going on. And the rest is just about collecting the input when the user clicks on create the ticket. So let's take a look at how much they give us in bubble 2. And it looks like, let me make sure I've got the reset, the full, what you guys see. And let's go full screen. So they give us all of the design elements. You could technically change them if you want, but there's no reason to. And they give us a good framework, including comments to guide us. So that's good. And let's see what happens when we run ours. Okay, they've given us full drop downs. We don't need to go through and type in every possible age for all of the options. And I actually really don't like drop down as an age. I'm going to add a cool thing when we get to the end that will be, we'll make it optional, but those of you who are interested in excelling will want to do it. I'll tell you at which point optional begins. All right, so it looks like we have our drop downs. We have a text input. Our only event is the calculate button. So all the changing needs to happen here. And then there's an output right there. So let's think about what variables we're going to need, what information, what shoeboxes do we need to keep track of? Well, we definitely need the inputs. Okay, so let's do a var. Let's just call it var day. And we know that's going to come in as text. So let's just make it an empty string to start with. And we need age. So we'll do our var. Let's just call it age. It can be called anything, but let's give variables useful and meaningful names. And age is just a number. So that's, yeah, relax. It's not important. It's a throwaway joke. Chill out. And then we have an opportunity for a discount code. So let's call this code input. And we know that's going to come in as a string. And relax. Okay, and so we have the discount code is going to come in as a string, so we'll make it a string, or we'll initialize it to an empty string. It doesn't really matter if we put something in there. We know, well, let's work on gathering and changing those inputs, what we want to happen when we click. We're going to update the variables, reassign day is going to get the text of whatever's in that dropdown. So we'll throw a get text in there of what is this, day dropdown. That's a good name for it. And then we want to update the variable called age. And that's going to be a get number because we want it to have the properties of numbers. Get number of age dropdown. Then we need we're going to get the text of code input. And That's going to be a get text because we are going to have to compare that against a known discount code that was Free Friday, all caps. So code input is going to be a get text of, I believe it's called discount input. Yeah, discount input. Discount input. So now we have all of our inputs taken care of. Let's actually deal with the output, believe it or not, beforehand. So we can check things as they go. So we know that we want the output to put all of the inputs there and have an output of price. Okay, we need another variable. Now that I think about it, we need a variable called price. And we will keep track of that. We'll start it as a global variable, even though a lot of these could be technically local, but don't worry about it. Price, let's just start that as 0, and our conditionals is going to change it. We'll update it, but it does have a value there, so we can work through it. Let's, just for neatness sake, let's have a variable called output text, and we'll start that as output. Let's call it ticket output. I think that makes sense. Ticket output, and that's going to be a string. That's going to be our concatenation of all of our variables and the words day, the string day plus the variable day plus new line plus the word age, and put it all into one long concatenation. And then we can set the text at the bottom here. So we can do reassign ticket output. Ticket output is going to be a long combination of strings and variables, followed by string, and so on. And it doesn't like that. Plus. And we need to change that completely. And the last thing, once we have we've gathered the inputs, we'll do our conditional here in the middle. And based on that conditional, we will know the price, which is the only thing that's going to get changed in the middle. And based on that, we're going to set the text of, okay, this is called ticket output. Let's not have a variable called ticket output. Let's call it ticket text. It's going to be what we put there. So we'll call this ticket text. And then we'll set the text of ticket output to whatever gets put into our shoebox called ticket text. All right, we're like 90% done, just kidding. So let's make this ticket text. I don't think this will work as is. Yeah, because, well, first of all, we don't have anything in here. This is broken. Let's see what happens if we run it here. Yeah, so this is nothing. So we need to come up with, what is our text going to be? Our text is going to be, wow, what is going on? Is my computer gonna crap out again? Close a few files I've got going on. This is unrelated, obviously. Hopefully it doesn't break everything. Let's close that and that, maybe that. see if I can free up some of my computer resources. All right. So what is our text going to be? Our text needs to be the word day, colon, space, and that's a string. And again, usually going into text mode for our long concatenations is good. So we need a string. If you do an open quote, it will give you the close quote, and that's where we want to put our words. So let's just go DAY and then a colon, then a space, because we want the output to have a little space in between. And after the quote, we'll do space plus space. And then we want whatever the user has put in as into the variable day. All right, and if we ran this, it probably would just work. Yeah, so it has that, and if you changed it, it would still work, and so on. You don't need to run it yet. I'm just showing you that it does work. Okay, and we're just going to add more train cars onto this. After day, we want to do age, but we want age. Hold on, I'll just do this wrong on purpose first. Age. If we do it like this, it's going to be on the same line. So inside of our string here, we're going to start it with a new line command, \n. Some of you were doing /n in some of your previous apps. Needs to be \n. It also needs to be inside of the quotes. Okay, that's not going to work even with another plus sign. Okay, that's not a thing. So inside of our quotes at the very beginning of this next train car needs to start with \n, and there we get that. And okay, what's after that is going to be price. Okay, again, starting with a \n, then the word price, colon, space. And the train car after that is going to be our output. Price is what we're going to calculate here in the middle. Okay, but to start, price is going to be 0. Okay, everything still works nice and neat. And let's actually, there's a couple of things I want to add here that I'm not considering options or extended practice. So like I said, I'll let you know when optional begins. It'll be the last thing we do. No, I should say the final thing we do. I want to add a line of text for what the user typed in as an input. So let's add a new train car at the end on a new line. And let's say code, or how about discount code. And then a space inside of that. And then the last train car will be what the user typed in as their input, which is called code input. And this is getting kind of long. That's fine. So if you need to and watch this video later, you are watching it later, pause it, take a look. It is critical that you pay attention to where your quotes are, or if you're missing some. If you have a red square, you've done something incorrect. Red squares are far more likely when you go into text mode, but here we are. Switch it back to blocks, it should be fine. And so we have, you can see how it's far easier to go into text mode and type out all those things. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so we have our new, everything's on a new line of text. We've got good spacing. Let's add a $sign before our variable price. So that needs to go, we've got a space after the colon, after price. Let's put a $sign right up against the edge of that string. Now, when we run it, it will give us a good discount code. What happens if we type something in here? There we go. Okay, it's also gathering the user's text from the input and putting it into the ticket. Good. All right. Couple of other. Nothing. That's it. This is the only text we need in our ticket. That means you are missing a quote somewhere. What does the red square say when you mouse over it? Missing quote before statement. Guys, settle down, settle down, settle down. Okay, double check that it starts and ends with parentheses, and inside it should be day wrapped in quotes plus day not in quotes, new line age wrapped in quotes, and then age not in quotes, and so on. So you can see this pattern. All right, settle down. So we need to do some calculating. What are the scenarios that change the price? Well, if our options, folks, if our options have one scenario where the price is $0, another scenario where the price is $5, and another scenario where the price is 10, we should probably check for the scenario that gives $0 as the price first. Because if somebody qualifies for the $5 and the $0 price, they would want the $0 price. And we are going to put it all in a single if else if statement, so that we only get a single price output. We don't want to check one scenario, assign price a number, and then check another scenario and overwrite that first one. Since we only want a single output, regardless of the scenario, we want that. We also, there's 3 possible outputs. So we're going to add a if, else if, or rather just one else if, else situation. And then let's just talk about our outputs before we even worry about the code. Okay, the first output is going to make price equal to 0. The second output is going to make price equal to 5, which will later on be written out with a $sign. So we're not putting $signs in there. And the else situation is price is going to come out as 10. Those are the only outputs. Everything, it can only be one of those, which is why it's good to have it in a if else situation. And we happen to be checking for the lowest one first, but this isn't a scenario because we're not like checking the lowest condition first. We're just checking the condition that will end up with the lowest output first, so that the user can get the lowest output if they qualify for more than one of these. So let's talk about what they need to be. Okay, the first output, let's put a comment there. Price is 0 if it's Friday and has correct discount code. And you could put these comments like directly above which one, but I'm just going to have all the rules up here. The second rule, price is 5 if weekday and age is 18 or under, and else price is 10. Those are the only 2 ways that you can get other than 10. Now let's code these. All right, so here is an issue. The issue is that the free code is all caps FREE, free Friday. That is the code that gets you the free dollars. The problem is the user might type it in lowercase. They might type it in initial case, like just the first letter, the initial letter, capitalized. And we don't want to penalize the user for using the wrong case. So we're going to get around case sensitivity with a clever trick. Okay. First of all, we want to be able to compare their input against a correct answer. So let's have another variable up here. We'll call this discount code. And let's get rid of case discount code. And let's give that the correct answer, which is all caps free Friday. And in order to check in a way that doesn't penalize the user for the wrong case, we are going to use a method. It's literally called a method, not just a way of doing things. A method, which is like a sort of built-in function to take whatever they type and turn it to uppercase. And that way we can compare it against uppercase, and no matter what they type in, it will be fine. So discount code is the correct one. Code input is what they give us. Let's make another variable called code input upper. And we'll make that just an empty string to start. The order of these global variables doesn't really matter because none of them is referencing one before it. But I'm just organizing them. Okay, these are the day and age. These are the ones that have to do with the code. And these are the output ones. But that just sort of makes sense that way. Okay, so code input upper is going, let's go ahead and reassign code input upper to be, and you're going to have to do some typing, code input dot to upper case open close parentheses. Okay, this is an AppLab function that's built in, and if you were to look at the For Real AppLab, you would see that there is this, it actually doesn't let me type it in there, to uppercase takes whatever string you put in here and will take all of the letters and turn it to uppercase, but it doesn't matter if it's already uppercase And that's how you get around the issue. Okay, and I will show you, I will prove it. So let's go full screen. So here we have the user, their input, whatever they type there, and this is taking their input and using this function to turn it to uppercase. And let's use a couple of console log statements just for testing. And this is when you would use one, is to see what's going on and see how whether or not this is actually working. Okay, and so let's run this. And if they type in all lowercase and click on the ticket, well, I still have this issue from before, but this is what I typed in, and this is what's in the shoebox called code input upper. And I'm just console logging him to show how it's going. If I actually type in everything in caps, it will, oh, well, it's broken from before because of that if statement. But either way, if I do type in everything upper, it stays upper. That's fine. So we have something that has eliminated any sort of case sensitivity. And we're going to compare this against the correct answer instead of what they typed in against the correct answer, and avoid any possible mistakes that way. So we have their input for this, for a day, we have their input for age, we have their code input, which we're going to keep. And that's what's actually going to get printed out in the text, is their code input. But we have created a new variable, which is their input as an uppercase for our sake of comparison. So how are we going to use that? Well, the first one is we need it to be Friday and the correct discount code. So this is an and situation. You don't need to use the orange blocks. You can just type it out. Okay, so we need to check the day is day. This needs to be lowercase because it's the name of the variable. Day double equal to the word Friday, however it is typed in the dropdown, which in this case is initial caps. We don't need to do it a two uppercase for the day input, because we know the day inputs are only going to be from the dropdown. It has to be however the way we provided it to the user. So if day is Friday, and that is one way to get around users ruining things, is only give them dropdown options rather than type-in options. You do have to sort of protect the user from themselves from breaking things. I guess that's a negative way of saying make it easy. Okay, and now we are going to, so one side is check to see if it's Friday. The other side of the and is has the correct code. So we are now checking, is code input upper double equals to the correct code, which is called discount code. Okay, so these are both strings. This is whatever the user typed in, turned into uppercase. This is what they typed in. And this, we still have a shoebox with whatever they've typed in. We haven't changed what's in the shoebox. We just have another shoebox that's taken it and turned it to uppercase. So that's a string, and we're comparing it against the correct one. Now we could have free Friday and here, all caps, and that would work. But having a variable means that it's a lot easier to change. We could change it up here. We could have a list of free, a list of discount codes. So if you have if you're using a variable to hold the correct answers, it's a lot easier. So the combination of day Friday and user typing in free Friday will give us a price of 0. And this actually should work as long as we only do this first scenario. So if we do Friday and type in free Friday, it should work. Nope, it didn't. Is it because it's broken? Where is it broken? Day double equals Tuesday. Don't do this yet. I'm just trying to see if this fixes something. Maybe it doesn't like that. Probably, again, also when in doubt, refresh the browser. Okay, so we'll go like this, and we want it to be Friday and free Friday. There we go. Okay, so price 0 and discount code that they use is free Friday. I actually would like the output to have the all uppercase version rather than the lowercase. I think that would look better. So down here in our text input concatenation, instead of having the last train car be their input, I want it to be the variable code input upper, and which is what we called it. And now if we do Friday, which is the only one we have so far, free Friday, it gives us that. And now we are too big. How could, I mean, that's fine. It all fits. We could resize this. We could resize the font, but we're fine for now. That's all design stuff. All right, so we have our scenario for how to get $0. Now, how do we get our $5 situation? Our $5 situation is weekday and age under less than or equal to 18. I am going to change this from the provided situation to must be a teenager. Okay, so that only adds a small issue. And we're going to change weekday to add to your learning. Weekday and age is teenager. And teenager. And this actually might make it easier to understand because we actually have, so we have two sides of the same situation or two general things to do, and they are separated by an and. It needs to be a weekday and a teenager. So let's just go ahead and throw an and in there. And if you're typing it out typing wise, I would say just give yourself a bunch of space and throw a couple ampersands in the middle. Okay, and we know one side needs to solve for is it a weekday, and the other side needs to solve for are they a teenager. Let's do teenager first. And I'm going to put this in its own parentheses. It doesn't need to, but it I think it will be easier to understand. So that side is going to be our age, and this side is going to be our that goes with that, that goes with that, that goes with that, and that goes with that. All right. So even though we have a couple of red blocks here, I think we're on the right path. So on the age side, how do you check for teenager? It needs to be greater than or equal to 13, and it needs to be less than or equal to 19. It's not an or situation. It needs to be both of those in order to be in the range. So we need age needs to be greater than equal to 13, and age less than or equal to 19. And let's tidy this up. And so that is our age situation. Now we need to solve for weekday. This is a little tougher. And it's tougher because there are 5 weekdays. Okay, you know that, that's fine. There are 5 weekdays, but if we were going to do it the long way, we could say is day double equal to Monday or day double equal to Tuesday and so on, but that's a long way. What we could say, is it not Saturday or Sunday? If day does not equal Saturday, and day does not equal Sunday, then it must be a weekday. Now, this has to be separated by an and, because if you had or and the input was Sunday, Sunday is not equal to Saturday, in which case this would be true, and it would equate to true even if it was Sunday, which is wrong. So a weekday is not Saturday and it's not Sunday. Okay, not equal. And this side of our compound statement is checking for weekday, not Saturday, not Sunday. This is a weekday, age greater than or equal to 13, and age less than or equal to 19 solves teenager. And if you see the blocks, it might make a little more sense. When you're looking at these things, it's if you get a long situation, this is an example where if you were provided this to understand what was going on, you split it in half and keep track of whether it's an and or an or. That means this side needs to be true and this side needs to be true. And you just figure out whether this whole thing is true. And then you figure out whether this whole thing is true and compare them. This whole thing you split in half and you figure out whether it's an and or an or. And you sort of build that hierarchy. But we built this one. So there you go. So there is our weekday and teenager scenario. Let's see if that works. In fact, I think that's probably the extent of making this correct. So let's go Monday and 5 should be oh no, because we did teenager, we changed it. So teenager Monday should be the low or the middle price. Teenager and old should be the high price, or excuse me, Monday and old should be the high price. Saturday and anybody should be the high price. Even if we go to teenager, should be the high price. And Friday and lower, any free Friday should be free, discount code free Friday. All right, so that is the extent of the required work for this. I see all of you over there on your phones are all done with this. Great job. Being sarcastic, I don't think you're done with it. So those of you who want to extend your abilities, there are a couple of cool things that I'm going to show you. First of all, is I think the drop down folks, I still need you to be quiet. First of all, I think the drop down for age is kind of lame. So I'm going to get rid of it and turn it into a slider. Okay, a slider is a different design element that we can use. Let's just call this age slider. And it has a couple of different properties that only it has: minimum, maximum, starting value, and step size. So the minimum value, 5, maximum value, 99. Let's have the starting value be 5. That's fine. And the way this works is you drag it back and forth, and it, instead of age, is going to get the number from age dropdown, which doesn't exist anymore. You would need to change this to age slider, which now exists. And if we move this around and hit create ticket, you can see it is giving us the age, which is good. Hold on a second. The problem is that you can't really see what it's on as you go. So there is another trick, and that is I want a text area here or here that has the value of the slider as you change it before you hit create ticket. So we need to add a new design element. I'm going to put it on the left of this, so I'll push this to the right. I need a new, doesn't really matter, text area. What is this? This is an input. That's an output. Let's just make a text area. It needs to be smallish over here. And let's call this slider update. Updater. That's close. Update's fine. And we'll have it set its text to just where it starts. That'll give us an idea of what the text output's going to look like. It's also the slider here, and maybe a little bigger. That's good. We'll put it over here, it's closer. That'll give us a little more room to make this bigger. And so in order for this to update as the slider is moving back and forth, that's another event. So we need a new event handler for this that we'll put at the bottom. And yeah, so at the bottom here, we need a new event handler. Okay, on event slider or age slider, it's not a click. Let's call it, it's either change or input. I can't remember. We need it to gather age, and we can change age here. It doesn't really matter. Age will get the number from that slider and then set the text of slider update to age. Let's get rid of the quotes. Yeah. And then, oh, thank you. Let's see if that works. We'll run it, and nope. Okay, so it only updates when you move it. Also, the font size is too big. I want it to update constantly. And so let's change the actual event from change to, I think, input. There you go. That's pretty cool. As the slider moves, it puts wherever it is into this text. That way, you know, when you click on the create ticket, it gives it to you there. I would say I want to change the range. So because right now, the only relevant range is between 13 and 19, which is just this small part of the slider. Anything after like 55 is sort of irrelevant. So I'm going to change the range to end up at the end of slider, its max value to be 55. That way our relevant slider range is like at least this big. There you go. I think that is a superior design. And everything up to where I changed the slider is mandatory, including the teenager situation, uppercase, whatever. What's up?
Instead of teenager, I just did what was on the previous one where it was like if you're under 18.
I am telling you, I want you to make this a test for teenager on purpose. Everything that I demonstrated before I changed the slider is what I want you to do. The check uppercase and the change to check for teenager. Question. That is because when you, in your set text right here, you have quotes around the word ticket text. You don't want the word ticket text, you want the content of that shoebox. Any other questions? Everyone's got it done, I'm sure. All right, we'll end the video there. Good job.